Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane, late night crew, hanging out here. Shocking news. I was sitting down just getting ready to record the LakersNation.com podcast. I was going to go out tomorrow morning and thought, what the hell? Let's just go. Let's just go live and talk about this shocking news tonight. Again, this is late, even Pacific time. It's 12:20 a.m. Pacific time right now. And we get this news that the Clippers are sending home Chris Paul in a bizarre severing ties move, league sources tell Chris Haynes. Now, there's a lot more to this that's come out in the 20-ish minutes since this actually broke. But an important detail here is the Clippers are on the road. The Clippers are on the road right now. They're not at home. It's not like they're in LA and Chris Paul, oh, no, you're just going to stay at your house, man. No, he's got to go get on a flight now and fly back to LA. It's the middle of the night. They're in Atlanta. I believe Atlanta's East Coast time. Am I wrong on that? I don't know. It's the middle of the night. Regardless, it's either East Coast time or etc. Pretty sure it's East Coast time. But so it's like legit the middle of the night where it's not like it's midnight LA time or something and a lot of people are still up. It's the middle of the night where Chris Paul is right now and the Clippers are right now. Man. And they're sending him home. Keep in mind, everybody, Chris Paul is the greatest Clipper of all time. He's the greatest Clipper of all time, and he just the other day, it can't even have been a week, announced that he is retiring this year. This is it. This is his final year. And he's the greatest Clipper of all time. And they're sending him home. Oh, my goodness. Now, a lot of people saying, well, they're going to waive him. No, they can't. That's the other piece to this. I got into a little bit of just the roster rules with the NBA. The problem with this is that the Clippers only have 14 players under contract right now, and that's including Chris Paul. That's including CP3. Now, the NBA rules say you must have at least 14 players under contract on regular contracts, not including two-way players. You have to have at least 14. The Clippers are at 14 right now. And so most of the time we would say, oh, well, the Clippers will just waive him then, and they'll sign somebody else to that 14th spot. They can't. They are hard capped at the first apron, just like the Lakers are, and there's not enough room below that first apron hard cap for them to sign anybody else right now. Chris Paul has a guaranteed contract. So if the Clippers were to waive Chris Paul, that would lock the money onto the books. Not a big deal, really, in most situations, because he's at $2.3 million on there. But that's nothing by NBA terms, right? But it's enough to where that money dead on their books, they can't sign anybody else until sometime in January. Then they'll be able to. So right now, the Clippers, they can't waive him because if they do, they will run afoul of the NBA rules that say you cannot drop below 14 players on your roster for any more than 2 consecutive weeks. After that, boom, you start getting hit by penalties from the NBA. You can't do it. So the only thing the Clippers can do right now is send Chris Paul home, leave him on their roster, continue to pay him, and hope, but he's got guaranteed money, he's getting paid no matter what, and hope that maybe they can trade him somewhere. That's all they can do. Otherwise, the only other thing they can do is wait until sometime in January when the veteran minimum prorates enough to where they can sign somebody else to the roster spot that would be open if they were to waive Chris Paul. So that's the other piece that, like, it's not like Chris Paul is suddenly going to be a free agent tomorrow because the Clippers cannot sign anybody to the roster spot and they have to have that roster spot filled. So this is not going to be done anytime soon unless there's a team that says, hey, we'll take Chris Paul, just trade him to us. And a team just wants to absorb him on a minimum salary or something like that. And maybe and obviously that would be the best situation for CP3. He did post about it on Instagram, said so, and I'm trying to find on X so I can screen share it, but there's images going around of Chris Paul's post on Instagram where he said, "I'm just being told I'm being sent home." Here it is. Here's Ramona Shelburne. She posted it onto X. "Just found out I'm being sent home. Peace." Chris Paul posted that onto Instagram. He's been in and out of Ty Lue's rotation this year, but sending any player home, let alone a player of Paul's stature in the league and with the franchise, is quite the move. As I said, Chris Paul is the greatest Clipper ever. You may want to say Kawhi, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Clipper fans, all 12 of them. Sorry, I shouldn't kick you guys when you're down right now, but I don't know if Clipper fans are going to look back fondly on the Kawhi era. Chris Paul, it's Lob City, it's all that. Like, him going to the Clippers was a big, as much as it was a negative for the Lakers and basketball reasons and all of that kind of stuff, it was a huge positive for the Clippers. And yeah, you can make an argument, Blake Griffin maybe is the greatest Clipper. I'm going to say it's Chris Paul, though. I'm going to say Chris Paul is the greatest Clipper of all time. Maybe you can argue it. But regardless, could you imagine one of your franchise legends who's in the middle of his retirement tour and you send him home? The Clippers season has been miserable. They are a joyless team right now. 5-16, the second to worst record in the West. And they don't have their pick. Their pick goes, you guessed it, to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you don't have your draft pick. Your team is awful. You keep losing. You've lost 5 in a row. You're 2-8 in your last 10. Chris Paul's in and out of the rotation. Brook Lopez, Nick Batum, Chris Paul, all three of them probably aren't in the NBA next year. James Harden's doing what he can, but there's not much to be said there. Kawhi Leonard, on the nights when he does play, is still good, but he can only do so much. Bradley Beal's done for the season. The Clippers' entire season is wilting like a tree that's dried out months after Christmas. Man, the hate that Trevor has towards the Clippers. Okay, look. The Clippers have spent a lot of time taking a lot of shots at the Lakers and doing a lot of things specifically to try to antagonize the Lakers. I don't have a lot of love for the Clippers, but at this point, we're getting to a point in the season, though, where it's been so bad for them. It's been such an awful season. And I remember what 2022 was like for Lakers fans with an old team that couldn't get up and down the floor, that couldn't win games, that everybody's making fun of. I can empathize with them. It's not a fun place to be. I can sympathize, I guess is the word. Not a fun place to be in. Man. So here we are. It is, 3:30 in the morning right now in Atlanta. And the Clippers are sending Chris Paul home. There is more to this. There has to be more to this. There has to be more to this from what's going on, from all of this that's happening. There's more to this story. Here's the Clippers' official statement that they put out. Obviously, their PR department put out through the media. "We're parting ways with Chris, and he will no longer be with the team. We will work with him on the next step of his career." That would suggest, again, a trade. He is trade eligible December 15th. "Chris is a legendary Clipper who has had a historic career. I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for our underperformance. I accept responsibility for the record we have right now." I'm assuming this is coming from Lawrence Frank. "There are a lot of reasons why we've struggled. We're grateful for the impact Chris has made on the franchise." So, I mean, that's a fine statement in saying that the losing is not to be blamed on Chris Paul. But obviously there is something else at play here. Something clearly was going on behind the scenes for this drastic of a reaction to be made, right? Because if you're the Clippers, you know what it means, what it's going to look like that you're waiving an NBA legend, arguably your greatest player of all time, in the middle of a tumultuous and very difficult season that is also his farewell tour, that is also his final season. Coming back to the Clippers was supposed to be, in some ways, going full circle, the final chapter of his career. And now that's gone. So the question now becomes, what happens next for Chris Paul? What happens now? What do the Clippers do? Like I said, they don't have a roster spot. They can't fill that roster spot if they were to waive Chris Paul. So as of December 15th, they can trade him. And he's an easy salary to trade, so maybe that's just what happens. But they're going to have to find a trade, and if not, they're going to have to wait until into January when they could waive him and then fill that 14th roster spot, because they can't do it before then. So the Clippers are going to part ways with Chris Paul. How much longer it'll be till we see him on an NBA team will be determined by whether or not they trade him or whether they have to wait until into January to waive him. Then he'll either be traded to a team or he'll be on waivers and available for a team to pick up. I don't know that it's a certainty that he gets on another team. Is there another team right now that says we really need a point guard and we want Chris Paul based on what we've seen him do so far this year? I don't know that that's for sure going to happen. And then the question also becomes for Chris Paul, does he want to do that? Does he want to go join another team? On the season, Chris Paul is averaging in 16 games, 32% from the field, 33% from three, 1.8 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2.9 points. He's not been the Chris Paul of old. He's been the old Chris Paul. So, where would he go? Would he even want to? Guys, it's possible. It's possible that we have seen Chris Paul's final game. That's possible. That we have seen his final game. Does CP3 look at this and say, man, I just want to hang out with my family. I just want to be in LA. I don't want to go latch on to some team somewhere. This might be it. The retirement tour may be over. And that it'll be up to teams. It will also be up to Chris Paul. That would mean the Clippers at Miami the other night, when the Clippers got torched. 8 points, 3 assists for CP3. That may have been the final game of his legendary career. I mean, we're talking, like, I know a lot of people in here are probably Lakers fans, and obviously I am too. But so there's not going to be a lot of love for Clippers players. Chris Paul, we all remember how that all went down and everything. But look, he's one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time. Not the greatest. There's been better. He's not topping Magic. But he's one of the greatest point guards ever. He's one of the greatest point guards to ever play this game. And I let other people get into the debates of, who should be ranked where and all of that sort of stuff. But he's one of the greatest of all time. And that's a pretty sad way to go out. If this is it, getting sent home in the middle of the night from Atlanta, having to fly back to LA. I'm assuming they'll let him stay in the hotel till the morning at least. But being told in the middle of the night, you're done. That's a rough way to go out. As one of the greatest ever, he deserves to go out with a final celebration. Is he playing great basketball? No. Is this the kind of season he wants to be having? No. But he deserves a final send-off. He deserves a final ovation. And that's why I'm saying I don't want to just immediately say the Clippers are horrible for doing this, because whatever's going on has to be really significant. We don't know what's happening. I'm assuming we will find out at some point. But whatever's happening has to be, the Clippers would be insane to just do this because he's not playing well or something like that. The optics would be awful if that's what this turns out to be. Something serious must have been going on behind the scenes for this to be the path that the Clippers are choosing to take. So again, I don't want to just jump on like, oh, everybody's going to point at the Clippers and say the Clippers are awful. This is a terrible thing they're doing and all of that. Look, if it comes out that Chris Paul has been a model citizen, nothing's been going on. He hasn't been playing well, but he's doing everything he can to be part of the team and all of that, and just wants to finish the season on a positive note and finish his career on a positive note. He wants a final send-off and all of that. If that's what this comes out to be, then shame on the Clippers. Absolutely. But I have a hard time believing that any team, especially one that is already dealing with their own issues, right? Their own public perception, like the Clippers are, would do this to a veteran player, a legend, arguably their greatest player ever, without significant reason. There is more to this story. We just don't know it yet. Man, thank you guys all for being here, by the way. Middle of the night. I don't know where you all are coming in from, but we're getting closer to 1 a.m. Pacific time. The man played 82 games last season. He wasn't given consistent minutes or in the rotation on a nightly basis to grade him off of just this season. No, but I mean, yeah, I watched enough Clipper games to see enough of Chris Paul to say, okay, he wasn't going to make a big difference out there for the Clippers. He was not doing that. Could he still be a veteran somewhere? He's going to be knocking down that 20 years from now. He's going to be, getting to the elbow and knocking down the 15-foot jumper. He's going to be doing that forever. That will always be there for him. But this is not the way you want to see this all play out. I don't think that Chris Paul was going to help the Clippers win games this year. Trev, what are you doing up so late? I was just getting ready. I've been compiling all my stats because the next episode of the Lakers Nation podcast is going to be 20 games in where the Lakers at right now. How do they stack up? Digging into the stats and kind of the good, the bad, everything in between. And I was just sitting down to record that. And this news came out. Do I ever sleep? Yeah, I sleep here and there. So that podcast, I don't know. I got to decide. Do I want to go to bed and record that one in the morning? I usually try to have them out first thing in the morning. Or do I want to just stay up, record it, and go from there? But, folks, this is, like I said, I wanted to go live here because I want to discuss this as it was happening. By the way, if you're here, and this is your first time here on the Basketball Bulletin, you haven't subscribed or anything like that, hit that subscribe button. Donnie and I are pushing for 40,000 subscribers by the end of the month, by 2026. We want to start the new year at 40K. We are beyond blown away. We talk about it all the time, how thrilled we are with how this channel has grown, the response that we've had to it. So if you're not subscribed yet, please do hit that subscribe button. We want to get there to that 40,000. More people asking if I sleep. I'm sure there's more to the story now, though. Yeah, I believe so. I believe there's more to this. Hey, super chat. Appreciate it. Tall guy said, the Clips organization is an embarrassment. What a horrid way to send off a Hall of Fame player, right? That's what I'm saying. There's got to be more. There's more to this. There's more to this. There's got to be. Where will he land? So let's say that Chris Paul, we get to January, Chris Paul gets waived by the Clippers. And he's a free agent. Where does he go? I should call Donnie and see if he wakes up. I'm not calling Donnie in the middle of the night. I'm not calling Donnie in the middle of the night. Houston might make some sense, but Houston's offense has been like they've been more than fine without having a point guard. They've been more than fine. I don't even know if they have a roster spot off the top of my head. I don't know if they have the ability to sign somebody. That's one thing they need to add on Spot Track is number the rosters. Oh, they've got 17. So they do have a roster spot. But I believe they're hard capped too. Yep, same situation. Hard capped at the first apron. Not enough room to sign anybody right now. But they could do it in January. What about just go? I mean, he could just go latch on with OKC. OKC was down 1 with like 5 minutes to play in Golden State and then won by 12. Just turned it on. The Suns, maybe. Maybe. The Suns, the Rockets, Miami. But he went to the Clippers, not just because of the Clippers. That's obviously part of it, but also because he wanted to be in LA. He's from LA. Family's in LA. Wanted to be close to family. That was the whole talking point during the offseason, that he was going to either go to the Suns or the Clippers because he wanted to be near LA. Phoenix is a 5-hour drive from LA. You just head out the 10. And obviously LA is LA. So does that change? In January, is he willing to play a few more months? And what if the Toronto Raptors want to sign him? Is he willing to do that? Or would he just say, nah, I'm calling it? Like, I know people will say, well, what about the Lakers? I don't think he fits the Lakers. I don't think he fits what they need. If you're going to give up a roster spot in order to sign him, and the Lakers are in the same position the Clippers are in when it comes to the hard cap at the first apron, if you're going to give up a roster spot too in order to get him, it doesn't make sense. He doesn't check any boxes in terms of what the Lakers need right now. Would he fit back in San Antonio? I mean, they've had injuries, but they've already got Steph Castle. They've got Dylan Harper. And of course, now they've got De'Aaron Fox back. I don't think they need either, especially when you've got Devin Vassell that can run the 2-guard spot. I don't think they need him either. He can be a veteran somewhere. Maybe fit doesn't even matter so much if he's going to be a 14th, 15th man, end of the bench type guy anyway. May not matter if a team specifically needs a point guard, because the fact may be that whoever gets Chris Paul wouldn't be getting him to play him much anyway. The Clippers weren't using him a ton. Do I think Chris Paul would have gotten a ring if it wasn't for that Stern trade? Could be. What would have happened? So basically the Steve Nash trade wouldn't have happened. Chris Paul would have been a Laker. And then this is part of the reason why, and I believe it was the Cavs owner. I think it was Dan Gilbert. I could be misremembering, but pretty sure it was the Cavs owner who was particularly upset, not just because the Lakers were getting Chris Paul, and that was obviously very upsetting, but it was also because the Lakers were saving money and they would still have the assets to go make the next move, which would have been to get Dwight Howard. So it would have been a prime Chris Paul, Kobe, and Dwight, right? That would have been your team. And we all know the version of Dwight that the Lakers got was not the version they thought they were getting or hoped they were getting at that time. But so does that win a ring? Does that do better than, and by the way, remember, they already had Pau Gasol. So does that team do better than the Steve Nash version? Yeah, I would think so. I mean, that's a low bar to clear. Do they win a title? I don't know. Does Dwight Howard stay? Like, does that change things and get Dwight Howard to stay? And I don't know that they win a title that first year, but if you get a healthy Dwight that next year, and he and Kobe doesn't kill him by that point, because he and Kobe didn't work the same way. You would have the best point guard in the game, arguably. You would have the best 2-guard in the game in Kobe at that time. You would have certainly he probably still was the best big in the game, plus Pau, probably one of the best power forwards at that point. Yeah, they'd have a shot. That would have been post back injury Dwight, because the Lakers got post back injury Dwight Howard. Is there a way that you would swap him for Gabe? No, I mean the finances don't work on that because Gabe, I mean, it would work for the Lakers. They'd be sending out a lot more money than they'd be taking back. They'd save like what, $10 million, $9 million on that trade. The Clippers can't absorb that salary though. So you can't, there's no way to make that happen without, like multiplayer trade and, that type of thing. Can't just trade Gabe for Chris Paul. And if Chris Paul got waived, you can't just waive Gabe and then pick up CP3. Can't do that. And by the way, I do think right now, like, I know it's Chris Paul and he's a legend and all that. Gabe's probably more impactful than Chris Paul is right now. And Gabe can defend, and I don't think Chris Paul can at this point. Did he rub any shoulders being president of the association? I don't know. I don't know about what happened there. Yeah, he's not going to the Lakers. The Pelicans, I mean, does he want to, like, the season's been miserable with the Clippers. I know there's, bringing it full circle with the Pelicans, but does he really want to go? Like, it's not like the Pelicans season has been any better than the Clippers season. The Clippers have the second worst record, and the Pelicans have the worst record in the West. So, yeah. Suns. The Suns may be the only one that makes sense. Suns may be the only one that would make any sense. And he could stay near LA. I just don't see the Lakers having interest. OKC, I mean, but does OKC want him? OKC's doing just fine. Why do you think they did this now? Need to free roster spots for a trade? It wouldn't. It doesn't free a roster spot. He's got a guaranteed contract. I mean, if they waived him, it would technically free a roster spot, but they can't spend that money. They're too close to the hard cap. They can't add any salary. So this doesn't make it so they can add anybody. Waiving Chris Paul would do nothing to help the Clippers right now. In fact, it would put them in a very difficult position because they would only have 13 players in a contract. They need 14, and they wouldn't be able to sign another player. So they can't waive him right now. So why did they do this now? That's the question. Something must have been good. Something was going on that was bad enough that the Clippers said, as bad as our season has been, this is going to be the better path forward. Dealing with everything that's going to come with this, all the questions, all the finger pointing, everything that's going to come from this is better than having Chris Paul on our team and with our team. What exactly was going on is what we're going to be waiting to hear. Oh, is Chris Paul's final shot potentially of his career a big three against Miami? Man. All right, everybody. I appreciate all of you jumping on with me here, middle of the night. I was going to just record something and put it out there on the channel, but decided, you know what, let's do this. Let's go live. Let's talk. Enough people were talking about it on social media. Thought, you know what, let's just jump on here. Again, if this is your first time checking out the Basketball Bulletin, you're just finding us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all of you. And we'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. What does sending home mean? Stay on the roster, but don't be with the team? Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. They can't cut him right now. So, yeah, it would mean he's still on the roster, but he will not be with the team. He's going to go back to LA. Like I said, they're in Atlanta too. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all for being here. Oh, Chris Paul heading to the big three. Maybe. Maybe. Thank you all. Till next time. See ya. And stay safe.